Hey everybody, Steve here with Autohitch.com, and I'm going to answer a question that I'm asked on a consistent basis, and of course fairly so, and that is, what is Autohitch? How is it differentiate itself, or how is it differentiated from say a TrueCar or a Costco or any other car buying services? Okay, and I thought the best way to do that is to sort of include you or anyone who might find the YouTube channel, anyone who might be on the site, and sort of bring you along with me as I go through the process of helping a potential or an actual client. And then you'll see, okay, this is what would happen with, me if I was interested in purchasing a vehicle using the Autohitch system. Now, first of all, we only do new and leases, okay? And leases, of course, for new cars. And that's just the way our model's set up, the way it works now. We really can't do anything with used cars, but maybe something down the road. So we're dealing with new cars, and what I want to do today is just bring you along on a short little trip here with me as I kind of work through what I would do with a client, okay, as they come in and say, this is what I have, this is what I want, what are we going to do? Okay, so to get started, client approaches me online and says, hey, listen, I have a certified 27 Nissan Armada. Now theirs actually is certified. Someone had gotten the vehicle and only after a year and a half turned it back in to a Nissan dealership who then certified it. And this does happen more frequently than you think. I actually see a lot of questions on forums. Hey, how soon can I sell my car, turn it back into the dealership? You can do it the next week if you really want to. If it's advantageous to the dealer, you can do it anytime you want. So that's what happened in this case, and he picked it up certified. Now, he came to me and he said, hey, listen, I want to turn this vehicle back in. I want to use it as a trade-in. I've actually paid a significant portion of it off because when I got it, I had turned another vehicle in to get it, and I have a lot of, of value actually in it. So I'm going to turn this back in. I'm going to trade it in, and I want to get a GMC Yukon. And like most people, his just original thought was, hey, I'm going to go to a GMC dealership, and I'm going to do a trade in a GMC dealership. And I said, well, hold on a second. I said, here's what we should do. And this is kind of where Autohitch gets a little bit different and works more for you guys and actually thinks for you guys, what's the best thing to do, okay? And what I told him, I said, listen, you have a vehicle that's a 2017. It only has 13,000 miles on it. It's in excellent shape. You need to be offering that vehicle to Nissan dealers that can actually recertify that vehicle. Because they can sell it for more. That is a more valuable vehicle. If you take it to a GMC dealer, if you take it to a Honda dealer, anybody, any other dealer besides Nissan, they cannot certify that vehicle, okay? Which means in reality, or actually, I say figuratively, in thought, they shouldn't be able to compete for that, because if a Nissan dealership can sell it certified for more money, how on earth is a GMC dealer going to be able to offer as much for that vehicle? Now, I deal with, in trade-ins, and you should do this too if you're a car buyer, you should deal with actual cash values, or ACVs as they're often referred to when you see them online or anywhere else, okay, when you're researching. And that's essentially, break that down, that's if I was to take my car to a dealership, what would they pay me? What would they give me a check for, a certified check for now? Okay, that's actual cash value. You have trade-in allowance, and that's it. Those are the kind of deals where you'll see a commercial that says, I'm going to give you $3,000 above retail value. Okay, that is play money. That's Play-Doh money. That's not real. Those are kind of fudge to get you excited and get you thinking you're getting this really great deal. Okay, if they're giving you $3,000 over retail value, they are getting that back somewhere else. It's just a fact of life and automotive retail life. So back to the client here. So I said, listen, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put a value on this vehicle for you because I have access to some auction data, okay? And for instance, I'm not going to show you that screen because it's not really public information. I don't want to violate that trust. But I'm looking at transactions up to, just 3 days ago, for example. So I'm seeing, and I'm able to see what dealerships are actually paying for this vehicle, or at the least very similar vehicles, where they are in the country paying it, what the colors are, what the conditions are and everything. And from there, I'm able to determine what the dealers are willing to, how much money, let's put it this way. And you can tell I haven't rehearsed this vehicle because I'm stuttering and stammering so much with this, but what I'm able to determine is how much is the dealership willing to separate themselves with financially to get this vehicle on their lot. Okay, and that's what's important, because if what they're spending at the auction is theoretically what they want to give you for a car. Now, arguably, a car coming from a private individual is actually more valuable than a car at the auction. A car at the auction generally, and it's important to understand if you're going to trade in a vehicle, a car at an auction, at an auto auction, is generally considered less desirable to a dealership for the main reason of most of those vehicles are cars that another dealership, for whatever reason, could not sell. Now, it could just be because, hey, again, it could be somebody who traded in a vehicle at a GMC dealership, and the GMC dealership said, hey, you know, this is a car that another dealership can sell, so let's go put it out there to those dealerships. It could be that the vehicle's older, maybe it has some defects in it, right? And the dealership just, their standards legally, that, hey, I can't sell, I'm a GMC dealership and this thing's got defects on it that I can't fix because I'm not a Nissan dealer, and I'm not going to pay to fix them, so I'm just going to send it to the auction block. Okay, so there's reasons, but still, that doesn't mean it's incorrect to say the vehicles at the auction are vehicles that for whatever reason another dealership couldn't sell for the most part. Okay, so they're kind of considered undesirable. If they're coming from a private individual, you know what they are. You're sitting there and you're shaking the hand of the person that's giving you the vehicle, that's selling the vehicle to the dealership, and that's important. Okay, that's just very important, and it's important also for the dealership to be able to say, hey, we took this vehicle in from the person that drove it. It just makes you feel comfortable as a car buyer. And you may, if you're looking for a certified vehicle, you may be thinking that same thing. Like, oh yeah, I definitely want to know that it didn't come from the auction. So that's where that comes from. Okay, but again, back to the original premise here. So I told him, I said, what we're going to do is I'm going to value this for you, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to do a retail valuation. Okay, so after I've put the number on it for what the dealers are paying for this car, now I'm going to go into retail. So what I did is I basically took, you know, certified 2017 Nissan Armada. Now I made it a little bit more specific. Okay, by trying to put the model in sometimes as platinum, because he actually has a platinum. Now you see here, of course, they send a featured dealer, you know, and then they give you an SV model, which is lower than the platinum, and that's what you get with the listing sites. It aggravates the heck out of me, but they have to make their money advertising, so be it, I guess. But I put this in here. Now I put any radius, if you could see over here, any radius to the zip code that we're in. Okay, if you're new to this, if you only buy a car every 5 to 10 years, all right, what I would do is I would take this radius, and they're going to fluctuate from listing site to listing site, and I would take this and put it, you know, at max 200 miles and put it around 100 miles. Okay, if you have a car there's a lot of, try and narrow it down as much as possible, because a car in a certain area is going to have a different value. That market's going to command a different value, and the vehicle might itself, based on where it's been, might have a different value. Okay, a Florida vehicle is going to have a different value on it than a vehicle in Idaho. There's much more people down here, like especially in Southeast Florida. There's much more people down here buying and selling cars. If the car has only been in Florida, it's a completely different market than in a smaller area, rural area in Idaho. You know, that now we're dealing with a car who's seen harsh winters, you know, so there's a completely different market there, and if you're not experienced, you can't differentiate that and separate one from the other, and I just don't want you guys to get confused. Sorry about the little pop-up over here. So I open this up to any, just because I want to start far, and I really want to get an idea for what we're dealing with. Okay, so I start looking now. Our particular client is his vehicle is blue. Okay, so obviously I want to figure out, okay, what are the different colors and what are the fluctuations. Sometimes I can put white, black, gray, whatever, and there's only a couple $100 difference in what those vehicles, and again, it's easier to see that when you get to the wholesale value, because the dealers are the ones that really care, you know, when they're buying and selling about the color, and the tools can really show you that. When you look through the retail listings, there's so much fluctuation, you can't really necessarily always tell, you know, is there a difference between gray and charcoal? You know, there could be in the real world, but it's going to be hard to tell because there's so many other variables. You know, the car's $2,000 difference. Well, how much of that is the color? I don't know. So I looked at that on the wholesale side, and the tools will also help you with that too. They'll also, like an Edmunds tool, for instance. Okay, well, this is a little. I would have to go back, but there's an Edmunds tool that you can use. Well, I'll just go back for you guys. So there's an Edmunds tool that you can use. Okay, it's Edmunds appraisal value tool. Okay, it's up here in the link. I might take it out, but it's appraisal value tool. Okay, and this is what it's going to do for you. And you don't have to enter too much information besides your VIN, some colors and some stuff like that. But it's going to give you an idea here and this kind of stuff. See, so you have color adjustment. Okay, Hermosa blue is the color, and it's going to say, you know, $18 more. Now, when I did that in some other tools, some actual like dealer tools, it was in the hundreds of dollars. But you know, like I said, it's easier to kind of assess that difference in value in the dealer tools than it is on a retail level, because it's really hard for them to identify with all the variables of a car in the retail market, especially a certified used. You know, there's so much, and there's got accidents, you got scratches and things, and you know, people that smoke in cars and other. It's hard to really tell what the color had to play with anything. But these tools will give you an idea of some of this really small stuff. Okay, and it is helpful to a certain extent. That's why I have it open, because I use multiple tools, and you should too. So I'm going down here and I'm looking at this stuff, and the other really valuable thing I wanted to show you guys and to understand when you're doing this, if you're trying to price your vehicle, and this is also important if you're trying to price a vehicle you're looking to buy, okay? Because I'm doing the same thing. Just because I'm trying to get a vehicle sold for the customer to a dealership, I still need to know the wholesale value, yes, but I also still need to know the retail value, because I need to know what that dealer can expect to sell it for. And if I know what they're paying for it, and if I know what they can sell for it, that's where I get my number for what can I go to the dealer and say, this is what we want. Now, I'm not necessarily gonna leave it open and just pitch it. They don't know my company yet. You know, they're gonna look at me and they're gonna play me just as like they would play anybody else until they get to know who I am, until they get to know the business and what we're doing. I don't have the time to do that with them, so I'm just going to tell them, listen, I know what you guys are paying for this at the dealership. I know what you guys are paying for this at the auctions. I know what you guys are getting for this on the market. This is what we want to get. Can you do it or not? And if you can, let's just roll with it. And that's the advantage kind of in wholesale is it's just like, okay, let's just do it now. You know, it's not purchasing a car where you have all these other layers like, well, you want to buy window etching and you want window tint. And we don't have all those other layers. It's just, you're going to give us this number. If you will, we just fire this off now, sign over a title, we get a check, you know, end of story. So that's the advantage there. But while I'm going through this, you guys, you know, learn from this on how to get a great retail price, how to get the wholesale price so you can trade in a vehicle, you can purchase a vehicle. And of course, if you need any help with that, you know, I have some videos on that. I have some written content. I'm not sure if we necessarily have the written content up for that quite yet. But you could always just write in, just leave a comment in one of the articles. If we kind of touch on it, leave a comment in one of the blog posts and just ask your question. We're actually going to answer it. I answer most of those, so we're actually going to answer that as soon as we can. And by having that on there, having that on the page, that's going to help other people too. And if there's enough people to do, of course, then we make the entire article about that, and then that's something you can refer to or other people can refer to later. So anyway, moving on. As I scroll through here, okay, I notice, and this happens a lot, you see just a lot of fluctuation, okay? And here's my example here is you have a white, okay, and then you have, they call this one gray. Now, when you're on these listing sites, you know, gray might not necessarily be what Nissan refers to as gray. Like, you know, when it says blue, it could be blue. It's Hermosa blue to Nissan, but it's only blue to Auto Trader, okay? That's another issue that, don't worry too much about it. But this is white, this is gray, and you see here, so we got certified, okay, we got 15,000 miles, and we got 15,000 miles, okay. So the two-wheel drive. Now my client's is four-wheel drive, but again, I'm just getting a baseline, because if I can figure out why they're charging 42 and 46 for a two-wheel drive, then I know I can bump that up for a four-wheel drive. And then when I go down and I find the four-wheel drive like this one, okay, I can look at it and say, okay, we'll expect more. Now, if you're looking, you might see, okay, we got 45,795, right? For a four-wheel drive at 16,000 miles, but for a two-wheel drive at 15,000 miles, okay, now granted they're different colors. Black is actually a very popular color. Why is it that this one is no more expensive than, is actually cheaper than the white one, okay, and just a little bit more expensive than this two-wheel drive here? What's going on? And this is where you have to kind of dive in. You can't look at the surface. You need to know these things. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is where's the vehicle located. Now I see here we have, 1,100 miles, okay, away. We have 194 miles away, and I'm in Southeast Florida, so this is essentially Florida. And then we have 896 miles. So these cars are pretty far away. This one's in Florida. Why is this one so cheap? It should be the more, not than the four-wheel drive, but it should be at least around this one. So what are we looking at? So let's go into the white one and let's look at a few things. Confirm everything's right. Okay, two-wheel drive. You're not going to see a lot of things, unfortunately, in these descriptions, especially from the dealers, because they just kind of fire these things off automatically. If you took this VIN number, and where's the VIN number on this thing? And I put it in here. Okay, we got a VIN here. You guys probably saw that before and were yelling at me. So let's go search for the VIN number, okay? Here's what you're going to find. Wells Nissan, Car Story, Auto.com, Auto Trader, Auto Arkansas. So this vehicle's in Arkansas, okay? But it's in Arkansas? Yeah, it's Arkansas. I guess I got my mileage a little screwed up there, but so the vehicle's in Arkansas. But the point is you see this thing, okay? It's on IC Cars. You're going to see this vehicle when you do this. A lot of times you'll see, Cars.com, Auto Trader. If they have a bunch of ads in TrueCar, and you'll just see all these things here, okay? And you see where they're listed. You can see if there's a difference in price. A really funny thing to do sometimes is just go from where you are, if you see the price, and then go and do that with the VIN number, and then you see on TrueCar, and you open TrueCar, and it's the same price it is everywhere else. It's kind of funny to see because it's not supposed to be that way, right? Now, maybe if you give them your information and then they can blast that out to a bunch of dealers to get paid, you might get a lower price. But they won't advertise that, and they of course need your info to make money, and then maybe you get some value, maybe you don't. But anyway, that's what I do sometimes, just to check around, see where are they listing the vehicle, how long has it been listed, and are there any differences in prices? Do they have it on some website real cheap, for example. Forget these tools. A lot of the times with these descriptions, if you go here, you're not going to get much. Again, like I said before, they're just kind of firing these off, so you're not going to get a lot here. The biggest thing you are going to get, especially on Auto Trader, you have the Carfax. Okay, so if you go to the Carfax here, you see no accidents, no damage, one owner, pre-owned, certified. Okay, great. I can kind of get an idea of why that vehicle is worth what it's worth, right? So let me go back and let me check now, and just scroll down for a little, just make it a little difficult on me. So now we're going to go into this one, right? Because this is the low one, and you actually should have started here, but I was, I don't know, going backwards to make my point. So we go in here, and we're going to look, see if there's any other details. I mean, okay, everything is how it says it was before. And again, see, here we go. So you got gun metallic now. So now they're getting a little bit more detailed with it. Certified one owner, blah, 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 blah. There's nothing really here, right? Sorry guys, I'm just reading. So I'm trying to continue talking. It's kind of bad when you're doing things to have a silent, just go completely silent. So I'm trying to keep the audio up while I read this stuff. They get into their pre-owned warranty here. What I'm looking for is like the disclaimers, because what happens a lot of the times is you'll see in the disclaimers where the price is, you'll see that it says something like this does not include the dealer fee and the dock fee. Let me see if it's right here. We advertise discounts comprising manufacturer qualifying incentives. All advertised offers are for a limited time, available well qualified consumers with approved credit. Okay, so that's something you should, kind of be common sense, but they're not going to scream it because it says, hey, listen, we might be offering you an interest rate, we might be offering you this, that, or the other thing, but that's if you have really great credit. And sometimes if it's a really low payment, especially on like lease deals, it's, well, if you give us $6,000 down, yes, you can get a lower payment. But they don't tell you that in the ad. So let's go down here. Lender based, all pre-owned vehicles. Yeah, see, so all new and pre-owned vehicles are plus tax, tag title, reconditioning costs if required. And whether they're required isn't going to be up to you necessarily. You'll find out that they required them when you get there. And a dealer fee of $8.99, which includes cost and profit to the dealer for items such as inspecting, cleaning, adjusting vehicles, preparing documents related to the sale. Yeah, see, so there's $900 built in right there. Now, that's not to say that the other dealerships, the other listings don't also have money built in that's added on, but at least we can see here the formation of, okay, it's not 42,888, it's going to be, 43,888, 44, who knows how high they're going to get it, because down here it said, subject to reconditioning costs. I mean, who knows what's included in that. They could very well, and again, this is very important for you to understand, they could very well be throwing this low price out there, just to get you to come in and say, wow, this is so much lower than everybody else. And then they go down there and they got some added reconditioning costs. Now they got you in the door, and then what do? They bring it around back up to the price of the other one. So now you're already there. It's the same price as the other one. You might go with it and roll with it and buy theirs instead of going out of your way to go back and go to the other one and start over. So that's a tactic that's used. It might not be used by every dealership, but again, this is just to tell you that it happens. I'm not saying this is industry wide. So many dealerships, so many people don't do this, but there are a few that do. They're the bad apples. They make it for everybody else, but I'm just telling you because you have to know about it for that one out of so many that there are. I'm not saying that because everyone is like that. You just have to know so that it doesn't happen to you. So now to get into the difference here, let's look at the Carfax again. Okay, boom, accident reported, minor damage. Okay, now even though we just said, remember, oh well, they could be jacking up the price. Well, although they are jacking up the price, at least on that $8.99 service fee, we can identify here that an accident was reported. All right, and that's likely going to explain the $2,000 to $3,000 difference that you're not going to have to pay for this particular vehicle. Now it does say minor damage, so that kind of thing. Rear end collision involving rear impact on the vehicle, minor damage reported, airbags did not deploy. Okay, the important thing here, I gotta keep saying that, but everything's so important because if you don't know one particular thing or do one particular thing, it could make or break a deal. So when I say that, it's kind of a make or break a deal kind of thing. Offered for sale as a Nissan certified pre-owned vehicle. Why is that so important here? Because it's essentially saying, yes, there was damage, but guess what? We were still able to certify this thing up to our standard as the dealer and up to the standard of Nissan, okay? Which I don't necessarily know off the top of my head Nissan standard versus GMC or versus a Chevy or versus Toyota, but when the car makers certify a vehicle, it's not just on a whim to help the dealer kind of make a sale. That's not a cheat, okay? They run it through a gamut and they hold the dealerships accountable, and they come and they check out what they're doing every now and again before they're, if the dealer's putting their name on it, they're going to check that out. So that's very important to understand. Now, because it has the accident, that means you can still demand less to pay less. It's a vehicle with an accident, all right? Because, listen, when that certification runs out and you sell that car later, guess what? You're selling a car with an accident. So it's worth less. It's worth less because it has the accident. However, for the purposes of you trying to decide, hey, do I want to buy a car with an accident? Yes, you can get a few $1,000s off just because the car is an accident. All right, but no, in this particular case, wait, if you're able to certify that with Nissan, I know that really, in all honesty, legit was not a bad accident. It was strictly cosmetic. So that's what we were able to find there, and then when we go back, voila, now we kind of have an idea, right, why this car is cheaper, and that's where we form the basis for the price. And that's pretty much it. Now I will continue on with this, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys that, give you a little bit of an update on what we're doing for the client, and then we're going to take that information, right? We're going to send that to the Nissan dealer. We're going to get that money, but then we're going to go to the GMC dealer, and we're going to request offers actually from multiple GMC dealerships. We're going to go to multiple GMC dealerships, and we're going to request those offers from those GMC dealerships and say, listen, here's a customer, here's what they have, here's their credit, and make an offer. And it's not necessarily completely written in stone, because if you have to finance anything on a car, nothing's written in stone until the moment you have a hard credit pull and that lender gives you a contract and you sign it. Okay, outside of that, nothing is guaranteed. But what we're really trying to do here is we're trying to go past the True Cars and the Costcos, because if you think about it, and that's been a lot of people's complaint with the Costcos and the True Cars is, hey, listen, if you just try a little bit harder, you can get a better deal, which is true. But why don't those companies do that? Well, because they're making money hand over fist, not doing a little bit better. So that's why we kind of came up with Autohitch, because we want to go that little extra mile. It doesn't take much to go that little extra mile. And what we're trying to do is be in between the Costcos and the True Cars that won't do that a little bit more, and maybe a broker who goes all the way and just does everything for you, which most people don't want, because they kind of get expensive. So we're going that little bit extra mile for you, but it's no extra work that you really have to do. It's extra work on another company's part, not yours. So that's our goal. That's what we're doing. And I'm going to make some more of these videos as we continue to go along with this and we continue to work with clients. And of course, when we get results and we get things like that, we're gonna go ahead and show you that as well. So thank you for listening today. I hope I was able to help. If you have any questions about the process, you have any questions, even not about auto, it's just about car buying process, pricing vehicles, something like that, go ahead and drop those in the comment section as well, and we'll answer them as soon as possible. Remember to make sure you visit Autohitch.com. If this video helped you, thumbs up. The comments, of course, also help us too. So if you don't have necessarily a question per se, thumb up and just leave in the comment section, hey, this was very helpful. This is why it was helpful. It kind of helps me realize, okay, what is it that people are really looking for when they're on YouTube or they're out in Google looking for stuff about car buying, so I can make more content around that. So it was nice talking with you guys today, and I will see you again real soon.